Ted, I've been reading. Some things. What I would consider some bulletin board material for Brent Venables and this football team. Now, you're Oklahoma. How much bulletin board material do you really need? Right? I mean, you're Oklahoma. When you come play football here, yeah, that stuff really isn't that big of a factor. But after the season a year ago, you're trying to find motivation any way you can, right? So let's start with this one. Tom Fornelli over there at CBS Sports also is on the Cover 3 podcast. He put out his college football quarterback power rankings. Top 10. Dillon Gabriel ain't on it. Now,
nope.
Dillon Gabriel is the first player mentioned in his honorable mentions section, but this is just one of those things, right? And there's no doubt Dillon Gabriel's got to play better football in 2023. But I will take any of the bulletin board material you can give me heading into the season. And this is Tom Fornelli saying Dillon Gabriel is not a top 10 quarterback in college football heading into the year.
Yeah. And, I don't know that you can, you can knock the list and punch some holes in it fairly easily. But if you're Dillon Gabriel, it's really hard to have much of a beef with it, but it's still motivating as hell, right? Whenever you get left off of a list, and it's really hard. Like you could put him in the top 10, but it's way more difficult to justify putting Dillon Gabriel in there than some of the other guys on the list. But here's the thing. I think he's fully capable of having a season to where he ends up clearly in the top 10.
Yeah. So the list real quick. 1, Caleb Williams. 2, Drake May. 3, Quinn Ewers, which maybe we should talk about that. We'll talk about that. 4 is Michael Penix Jr. 5 is Sam Hartman. 6 is Bo Nix. 7 is JJ McCarthy. 8 is Jordan Travis. 9 is Michael Pratt, QB at Tulane, that you and I, we love Michael Pratt. And then 10 is Jaden Daniels there at LSU. So, I mean, that's a solid list, right? There's no doubt about it. But the reason I like Dillon Gabriel not being on the list, when you say you're quarterback and you're the quarterback at Oklahoma, when you say he's not a top 10 quarterback heading into the season, it's not just an indictment on him. It is a perception of the offense as a whole, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Dillon Gabriel not being in the top 10 on this list, it tells every guy on that offense, hey, really don't think y'all are that good. That's why your quarterback's not on the list. O-line, you guys lost to, you 2 tackles. Are you guys going to be able to block anyone? Wide receiver room, are any of you guys good? Is any tight end going to do anything? You guys going to even be able to run the ball? Like it, when you start saying your quarterback's not in that top tier, it says more about your offense as a whole than anything. And that's why when I see this, all of these guys on that offense, they should take Dillon Gabriel not being on this list personally, because it's Tom Fornelli saying, hey, guys, not sure you're going to be that good offensively. And that should not sit well with that group.
It's a good point. I think you're, for the most part, you're right.
Maybe I'm reaching, but that's how I would interpret it as an offensive lineman. Be like, damn, they don't think my quarterback's one of the best in the country.
And you should.
That's on me.
Often your top 10 best offenses in the country don't always marry up to your top 10 best quarterbacks, but there's a lot of that there, right? So yeah, absolutely. I think that's, offensive line can look at it, wide receiver core, like they're saying we're not any good. Like we're not going to go out there and get a bunch of yards for our quarterback, for our offense. I think that's a good point. And, for a team like, let's be honest, they gave themselves the biggest bulletin board material possible by being able to slap that 6-7 record up there, right? I mean, that's bigger than anything, more motivating than anything. But I, as athletes, you're looking for any little piece, any little something that you can grab onto. It's a long year. It's a long off season. Everything is long. Every practice is long. Every practice week is long. You grab whatever little piece you can to get your motivation level up for that day, for that week, for that month, for that, whatever off-season period you're in. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I could understand some OU fans hearing this and being like, "Hey, it's Oklahoma. They don't need bulletin board material." Did you hear what those Georgia players were saying after they won the national title? When they had just won the national title the year before? Right? Like, oh, no one thought we were going to do this. What? I mean, that is there's a psychological piece to it, right? Being able to take any piece of motivation and use it. If you're Brent Venables or if you're a guy in that locker room, and that's why you're starting to rub off on me, man. I see stuff like this and I'm like, excellent, excellent. Yes, let them sleep on everyone on the roster. But the more we hear athletes talk about it, like that clearly is a big motivator. So I think Dylan Gabriel should see this, take it personally. I hope he prints it out, puts it in his locker, stuff like that. And the offensive as a whole, like they may not believe in Dylan Gabriel, but it's got a lot to do with who's around him, right? When you're evaluating a quarterback in his situation. And once again, I think those guys should take that personally.
Yeah. I think, and it's not just offense. I think everyone on the football team should take it personally, right? I mean, defensively, you consider any slight of your quarterback or of your team, you take that personally. Let's get the ball back for him. Let's do whatever we can to where he goes out there and shows everyone. I mean, it's all tied together. I mean, especially whenever you get into the real, like, heart and soul of a season, like you're in the depths, you're 7-8 games in, and the Heisman race is shaping up, and you're undefeated, and no one's talking about your quarterback. That pisses you off as a football team, and it all ties together. So yeah, I think that's right. The more of these lists that come out, whether it's quarterback, whether it's, whatever they are, should take it to heart, and I'm sure they do.
Yeah, I can only imagine how Jeff Lebby feels seeing that.
Yeah.
Right. His offense, the position he coaches, I guarantee you it's motivating for him. So I thought that was an interesting one. And then this one, you and I, we have talked about, we've talked about the need for a wide receiver in that room to really step up, right? And ESPN put out a list. They have their college football writers, right? Their entire staff. They did a list of the top 10 wide receivers in college football. And boy, does Emmett Jones have some bulletin board material for that room. Not only was a guy not on the top 10 list, they didn't have a single wide receiver receive a single vote in the poll. Not a single vote. And I'm not saying that that's not incorrect, right? I don't think a guy in that room has proven himself to be in consideration as a top 10 wide receiver in college football. But you talk about something that can be used as motivation. Emmett Jones can turn to every guy in that room and say, hey, they all think you guys stink. And once again, it's just motivation, man. Like Jalil Farouk's got to see this and take it personally, very personally. Like didn't even receive a vote, not even a thought. That's that's something Emmett Jones and that staff can use, right? I certainly think it is.
They don't know who you are.
Ooh,
They don't know who you are,
that
and
hurts.
you play at one of the most prestigious football programs in the country, and they don't know who you are. They don't know who any of you are. And I agree with you. We don't have anyone right now on roster that has justified being on the top 10 list. And frankly, it's not even close. But that doesn't mean that it's okay. Because, I mean, when's the last time that we hadn't had a guy on here? Like, how far back do you have to go to where there hasn't been a guy? I mean, I would imagine Mims probably would have been on this list a year ago. I don't know if he was or if they did the list, but he would have at least gotten votes. And you just keep going backwards from there, and there's going to be someone on there almost every single year. So that's the state of it right now. And if that doesn't motivate the hell out of you at wide receiver, I don't know what does.
Right. Farouk, Andrell Anthony, anyone in that room, just realizing, hey, these people don't think we're any good. And that can be a very humbling experience, right? But also very motivating. So I hope that's something when summer workouts start here in a couple weeks. I hope that that's something that every wide receiver in that room thinks about while they're going through workouts. Like, hey, we didn't even get a single vote. And you look at the top 5 on the list, right? These guys are dudes. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Buka, Dunze from Washington, Singer, the guy that transferred from Arizona to USC, Xavier Worthy. You and I both think very highly of Xavier Worthy there at Texas. Like these guys are really, really good players. Don't get me wrong. But it just goes back to the piece where you got to find motivation. Like you said, Ted, the college football calendar, man, it's a grind. It's a long haul. And stuff like this, it can push guys, right? It can push guys. So should I just print them out and send them to the football facility? Like, what should we do here?
I think that they should make graphics of it, and it should be up on the massive jumbotron the entire offseason on. Everyone can see it.
Just not a single
just the team.
vote.
I mean, it's embarrassing, or it's bad whenever you look at it yourself, right? And you're not on there. It's worse whenever everyone sees it and you are aware that everyone sees it. Let's start hanging banners, right? Billboard banners in the indoor.
Nothing more motivating than a public shaming, a public
That's right.
embarrassment, right? But
That's right.
And not to take this conversation that much longer, but these are the lists. This is the bulletin board material for what was the strength of the team a year ago.
Yeah.
Imagine when these lists on the defensive side of the ball start coming out over the next couple months. You talk about bulletin board material, man. They're going to be able to, they may run out of paper there at the Switzer Center. I mean, this is what these people that cover college football very, very closely and do it well, in my opinion. This is what they're saying about the side of the ball that was viewed as the strength of the team. So if you're in that locker room and you're on that defense, you're kind of going, oh boy, what are they going to say about us? And right. we'll see as those start to come out. We'll see what type of motivation material Brent Venables will have for the guys on the other side of the football.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's going to be interesting. They have because of all of this, they have a great opportunity. It's interesting whenever you're picked high whenever you're getting all kinds of preseason accolades, when you got a bunch of top players that are on all of these lists, it's hard to get much of a rise out of anyone until December. But whenever you're not on any list, nobody's talking about you. Some people don't have you in the top 25. It creates a great opportunity to do something special and kind of rekindle the fire and, you know, kind of reset and bring everything back for the program and have it kind of burst back on the scene and everyone be like, whoa, okay, yeah, they're working on something special there.
Yeah, and it's a nice tool for Brent Venables, right? We talked the last couple of episodes, we've talked about, you know, the over-under win total, them being tied for Texas right at 9.5, the highest number in the conference. Second, when it comes to the odds to win the Big 12 championship. If any of those guys on this team saw that and started thinking anything positive about themselves, you bring up these lists and lists like it, right? Like, no.
Right.
No. These people still think you stink, guys. Don't buy into any of the hype. But all right, let's get to call your shot. We asked y'all the best piece of bulletin board material that you've seen that Brent Venables and this team could use. I really like this one from Chris Peterson, and it's something you hit on earlier, Ted. He said, game film from a 6 and 7 season. It's mocking you more than anyone else. Go show the world who you really are. That's some deep stuff from Chris. It's mocking you more than anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fortunate or unfortunate circumstance, depending on who you talk to or how you feel on a certain day. But, you know, rarely for anyone else does any mistake or anything that you do on a day-to-day basis live on forever. But in football, it does. Like, that's the harsh reality of it. Someone else's highlight on you will be there forever. It'll be shown forever. Every time I go to that damn Kansas State stadium, they play that stupid 2003 Big 12 championship game from 20 years ago, and I have to sit there and watch all of the highlights. It haunts you forever. Okay, so there's to me, there's nothing more motivating than what you look like on film, because it doesn't matter what your social media presence is. It doesn't matter what you do signing autographs. It doesn't matter about what type of NIL deal you have. What does the film say?
Yeah. I mean, that's embarrassing enough, right?
Right.
And
there's good on there too. Like,
yeah.
It's not all bad. There's some good stuff on there. There's some players that made some really, really, you know, had great moments out there. There's good stuff on there too, but let's be honest, there ain't nearly enough of it.
Right. This other one comes from Brian Kinder, who says, every effing Texas and Okie State and USC fan posting 49-0 in comments. There's a lot of that, man. Like, anything OU puts out right now, there's people that there's a lot of 49-0 stuff. Like, it hurts me. I can only imagine how it feels for those guys that were part of that game. Oh.
Yeah. I want it to pour it on me. I want all of it. I want to feel the shame, right? I want to feel the despair. I want to feel all of it. I want the anguish, because whenever you come back and you bounce back and you shove it in their face, it feels so much better.
Yep. Yeah. I love your attitude towards that. You just love bathing in the misery.
That's it. When it's happening, it's just like, make it worse. Bring it on. If it's going to be bad, let's get real bad.
Yeah.